Welcome back to another episode of Where Faith Meets Entrepreneurship and Business. I am in such a good mood today. I sat down with myself and was reviewing the podcast and the way that I foresee it going in the future and how God is showing me to do things. And one thing about it, I am so big on faith that sometimes I may be less likely to provide actual business tips, and that's not what I want for y'all. I want to actually give you real business tips as well. And this just came to my mind as I was sitting with myself. It's like, it's great to have all the faith in the world, but faith without works is dead. And so today we're actually going to be getting into our business brain today. That doesn't mean we're living God out, because as you know, we seek first the kingdom on this podcast. So today we're going to be talking about growth tips, legit things to do right now in the economy to help you grow your business. And this can even be a business that's starting from scratch, right? So you guys know I love acronyms. And so it's going to be the 3 P's, PPP, of growing your business. And no, this is not the Paycheck Protection Program or loan, whatever it was. Which no shade on that, because if it helped your business during the pandemic, then that's great. I'm all for it, and we love that, right? So we're gonna get right into it. The first, because we know we see first the kingdom of God and his righteousness here, the first P is pray. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, if you do not build with God, yes, it may be sustainable for a little minute, but it will not be sustainable for as long as God would love it to be. Because one thing I don't want people to get in their mind is that the only way you can be successful is with God. That's not true. And that does not mean that I'm some crazy Christian selling you something, but there are earthly principles put in to help people be successful. And we know this is true because we see people who do not believe in God, who do not serve God, who do not believe in Jesus Christ being successful, or what the world would deem as successful. We see them with wealth. We see them sometimes with multiple businesses, with land and all these things. So we know that there are earthly principles, which, don't get it twisted, they were put in place by God himself. But we know that people can be successful without praying. But for you, what I want is for you not only to be successful, but for God to get the glory and for it to be sustainable for generations and generations to come. Because we know that fast wealth usually goes as fast as it comes, right? And so the first P is pray. I want you to be very prayerful about your business and the things that you're about to do. For my business, we performed well recently by doing Facebook ads, right? But even before the ads, I prayed and I asked God, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to tackle this situation? What's going to be the best keywords to target? What's going to be the best thing to use as our imagery? I pray about things like this. Now, mind you, there are going to be some times where you have to move so fast that you don't have time to stop and pray. I say a little prayer in my head and I keep going, and I trust that God has given me enough wisdom and understanding to know that I'm what I'm doing and I'm doing it well. And so I pray about those things. I pray about what I should invest my money in. Recently, I've had such a mindset shift when it comes to finances, in the sense that if you have $500 in your business account, but your monthly expenses are $1,500, instead of being so fixated on the 1,000 you still need, I would advise you to be fixated on what can you do with this $500 to make $1,500. Not so much let me squeeze and hold on to the 500 and try to gain the 1,000, but no, what can you do with this 500 to now go make $1,500? And so part of that includes praying, asking God, what's going to be that next step? What's going to help me go ahead and be able to get the money and the finances I need to pay for these expenses, right? And so prayer is going to be powerful in that way. Because sometimes there are times where, there are times where we will invest and it won't be a good return on our investment. We'll be investing just wildly. Okay, let me see if this Instagram ad works. Let me see if paying this influencer to post for me works, or anything that you may choose to do in your business. And it just may not be a good investment. So it's better to just go ahead, pray, ask God, where should this investment go? Where should I be spending these funds to get a great return on my investment? Where should I be spending my time so I can get a great return on my investment? So either way we go, prayer is going to be very important. Anything you're about to start doing in your business, you want to build it with God. A person who builds their home on sand will sink. But if you build it on the rock, which is our Jesus Christ, you will be able to sustain it, and God will see to it that it grows and it flourishes, especially if it's something that He called you to. Right? So the second P is perform. One thing that I think religion has kind of failed a lot of people at is believing that God is just going to magically do things without you having to do anything. I do believe in resting after you've done all you can and allowing God to move. But as a business owner, there are daily things that you need to do to make sure your business grows, make sure that all things are in order. And that means you need to perform. You need to show up every day ready to perform and do the things that you need to do. If you need to take a moment, only take a moment. But you're a business owner and you're asking God to bless something. And if you're not already showing that you can perform at the level that you want Him to bless you, then I don't really know if we could even be asking Him to help us in that way. Because if I'm asking Him to send me 100 clients this month, but I get out of bed at 10:30, I check 2 emails, I respond to people in 72 hours instead of 1 to 2 day turnaround, I don't really think that would be a great investment on God's part to now pour into you and give you those 100 clients and just believe all of a sudden you will be able to handle that load. So now is the time to perform. Do what you know to do. If you literally find yourself having empty spaces of time and you feel like you have nothing to do, prepare for the next week. Make Instagram or social media posts. If your business uses that for marketing, make it for the next week, make it for the next month. Take some courses. There are so many free courses on Allison. I believe there's some on Coursera. There's different things you can do to grow your business and to also perform better by learning from others, that you really shouldn't have empty gaps of time right now. Right now is the time to be working hard, but also trusting fully in God, because He's also the one that's even allowing you to perform, but you have to show up. That is so huge. God is not going to magically make you go viral because you posted one thing on TikTok and now you hope that you get 1 million views and you go to sleep and you're like, oh, okay, I hope I wake up and my phone just like blew up with, different messages and notifications that I went viral. Now that sounds great. I'm not against it. I even believed that at the very beginning. I was hoping just one push of a button, my first post, it would just go viral. And God's like, no, you have to work hard too. You just now have me on your side. You have me to see things ahead of time and warn you about that you may not see. You have me by your side helping you learn. So this will be something that has longevity and not something that you just do one time, right? So you got to perform. You have to work. Now, some things that you can do besides doing courses or besides building social media posts, create a newsletter. That's one thing that I added on to not only my podcast, but my business. I want to be connecting with my clients or potential clients and customers during the week, at least a couple times a month. I want to get in front of them and show them that it's not just you buy a service from me or a product from me one time, but I actually want to connect with you. I want to build a relationship so now you're constantly coming back to me for all of your needs for whatever industry I'm selling or providing a service in. If you are not into newsletters or emails, or honestly, if you're not into any of this, then I'm going to say a big word that bothers people: or a big couple of words, pay someone to do it. There are too many people who don't want to do the work, but they also are too fearful to pay somebody to do it. You can't be in both of those spaces. You're going to have to choose one, especially if you are praying and asking God to bless your business. You have to be a part of the work. So if you are not interested in building newsletters, you're not interested in creating social media posts, you don't want to take a course, you don't want to learn more, but you have the disposable income to pay someone. How do you expect for anyone else to invest in your business if you won't invest in your business? You have to believe in your business before you expect anyone else to want to pour and give their money, especially in this economy, to your business or buying your product. It's important that you show up in one way or the other. Right? Another part of performing is actually making sure what you're putting out is quality work, reviewing it, not just saying like, okay, I saw somebody else do this, I'm going to copy exactly what they did and I'm going to put it out. No, sit down, create an actual plan for your business and say like, these are my goals. These are the things I think will perform well. This is how I want it to look. And this is how I want to actually push out this action item. This is my plan of action. Because if not, you're just blindly going into it. You're following other people. And honestly, you're just not building your business on solid ground. That's shaky ground. So I'm going to give an example. If you are someone who says, hey, I want to be a coach, any type of coach. They have life coach, health coach, business coach, relationship coach, first time mom coach. They have a coach for everything right about now. And to be honest, it's not a bad idea if you found yourself to be an expert in something that you truly have a backing in, you have true experience in, and you feel like God is calling you to do it, right? So you're a coach. It's your first time starting your program. How do you show up and perform? One, create a business plan. There are free templates everywhere on the SBA's website. You can Google free business plan template. Create something, just a baseline business plan. Pick 3 marketing tools you want to use and you want to learn or you want to outsource. Whether it be putting mailers in the mail if you have a office location and you want to reach the residential people around you, so you're going to put some mailers in the post office and you're going to make sure it goes to the residential area that you're near. Or if you find yourself being that person that only wants to do business strictly online, so you want to be an online coach and deliver your services, putting out that newsletter, creating an email list. So what that looks like is you going on a social media channel and saying, hey guys, I'm offering this service. Please sign up if you're interested, or please download this free PDF by putting your email address in here. And in that first newsletter, you can have a link to a free PDF that's going to be a resource for them. Because what I'm learning in the field of any type of coaching, consulting, any type of service-based business, people want to know that you know what you're talking about and that you have something of value to give before they're ready to make that monthly investment. If it's a monthly fee, a one-time investment, because right now is a time where everyone wants to hold on to their money. They're holding it super tight because they don't know what's going to happen next. And so you need to show that you have something of value that can actually enhance their life. And to do that, you're going to have to perform by putting these marketing items out. Another way is emailing, finding local businesses, and this doesn't always work, but I've seen some success in it. If you are in a local area, you can run a Facebook ad and reach them, and then if they're interested, they'll click on the ad, or you can go in Google search, type in a specific industry in the area you're in, and Look through those business websites and see who owns the business, get their email address. Collect those emails in a list and send out a one-time email to all those business owners. Obviously, not where all the emails are showing at once if you need help with that, because sometimes people are just not tech savvy and they don't know how to do it. You can reach out to me. I would love to help you with this. I personally love sending out weekly emails and connecting with clients through emails, because you never know who may not want to ever pick up the phone and talk to you, but they're willing to look through an email, read your services, and book with you. But you're going to send out a really good, valuable piece of information or show that you can be a resource to that area by providing specific services that are tailored to that industry, right? So this is you showing up and performing, not putting out one video on YouTube and praying over it and hope it reaches the mountains. Your job is to work. And I love the story of the parable of the talent. So there is, if you've never read this story in the Bible, I will make sure I link it below so that you'll have it in the description box. But there is a owner who leaves a certain amount of talents, which at that time was their currency, to three people. One, I believe, gets five. One gets, don't let me, y'all, I honestly think that it was 10, 5, and 1. One got 10, one got 5, one got 1. I believe. I could be wrong. I need to reread it. But two, they ended up doubling or tripling their profit, right? They went out, made more money with what the owner had gave them. But there was one, he hid it in the ground because he was afraid. And so when the owner came back, he gave more to the ones that obviously tripled or doubled the currency. But then the one that hid it in the ground, he said he was afraid because he knew that he was such a powerful person and that he would get in trouble if, he lost the talent or he didn't do well with it. So he hid it in the ground. And the owner said, "You wicked servant. You could at least put the money in the bank. So then I would have had at least a return from the bank. Like the very least you could have did was something." And that's basically what I'm trying to get to with this story. Do something, show up and perform. You cannot just believe on prayer alone without doing anything that your business is going to grow. It's not biblical. Um, we know this. In Proverbs, it says, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. So if you've been talking and talking and talking about your business ideas, but you've never actually performed and put in the work to see them come to light, you're leading into poverty through that mentality. And sometimes that's hard to hear because, to be honest, it's not that you don't want to start the business, it's that you may be afraid. There's real fear around starting a business. But again, this is where you pay for someone to help you. It's worth the investment if it's something that you really feel called to do. And another thing I just want to warn the body of Christ about is sometimes when God tells us to do something, we take it as a suggestion. But it's not. It's actually a command. Like God is telling you, he's asking you to do this thing. It's not a suggestion. And so many times we'll be like, yeah, God put it on my heart 3 years ago to start this business, but I never did. He didn't just put it on your heart. He asked you to do it. It wasn't a suggestion. It was him actually asking you to do it. And now you're wondering why 3 years in, you are miserable at your job. You hate it. You're feeling like there's enemies coming from you left to right. If I'm being honest, it's pretty much because you didn't listen. He wasn't suggesting it to you. He was trying to provide a way out for you or a new way of doing things for you. Because sometimes God will ask you to start a business, but he won't tell you to leave your career or your corporate or your 9-to-5 job, whatever you may do. And so it's up to us to be obedient when he tells us. And even if we're afraid to say, God, I'm afraid, but with you, I know I can do anything. Send someone to help me. If you don't have the funds, God, send the funds so that I can pay someone to help me start this business because I believe you've called me to do this and I want to be obedient to you calling me to do this, right? He's not suggesting to you. And I really don't know why we don't sometimes understand that, because in the Bible, you see all of these amazing people do amazing exploits. But if you think about it, when God told them to do something, they did it. And the one who didn't ended up in the belly of the whale for 3 days, or a big fish in some some versions of the Bible will say. But you didn't do it. And so you end up like Jonah, and we don't want you to end up like Jonah, okay? So I say that to say I really want you to perform. And the last P is perfect. So you've prayed, you've started performing, but now it's time for you to get to the next level, which is perfecting the work you already do. And I think sometimes we will put out work and we will see it working, and then we'll come to a point where it's somewhat not working anymore and we realize we need to pivot. And with that pivot, it's time to perfect what's already working. That's why it's always good to have quarterly reviews of your business. Review what's been working and what's not working. Because sometimes without that review, you may be investing in something and for a whole year you invested it and it never returned on anything. And you could have stopped quarter 1 if you would have looked at the information and you would have been reviewing things. So another way to grow, perfect what you already know is working well. We can always get better. We can always ask God for more wisdom and understanding. So, perfect your work. Maybe it's time to bring someone in to kind of help you review things. Maybe your business is going great, but you're kind of overwhelmed. You're taking on everything. You have no one to share the load with. Hire somebody. Even if it's for 10 hours a week, it's worth it. Hire somebody. It's time to perfect what's already working well so it can be sustainable for generations and generations to come. So I believe this has helped. It helped me because anything that I come on here and I am sharing with you all, believe 100% God sat with me first and ran this information to me and had to get me to do this as well. Because I've had seasons where I did a little bit of something and then I spent like 85% of the time praying. And it sounds good, but God's like, you praying, but I need you to go put some work behind the prayer so I can actually do what you're praying to me about. I need you to partner with me. You know, there are some seasons where I will say God will completely do it. You don't have to do anything, but literally listen to his voice and follow his lead. But as a business owner, there are daily things that God is asking you to do, like show up and perform, perfect your work, and make sure that you continue to do what's working and take away what's not working. Those are real. And so know that anything that I'm pushing on here, I have dealt with, I am dealing with, and God is working on us simultaneously. I'm sharing in real time sometimes, and I'm also sharing what I've learned and experienced as a business owner. So make sure you find at least one person to share this with this week. You know, the brother who you've been hearing is trying to start a business, the aunt who's owned a salon for years, or maybe the dad who has been a super corporate guy for his whole life, but you know he has a passion to start something else. Share this with them. I want them to be encouraged that they can actually start these businesses and they can grow even today, even in an economy that's saying there's a recession coming, there's war coming, that's this coming. Like, you can still be successful today, especially if God is telling you to do it right now, because he doesn't look at the winds and the waves to determine whether or not he's going to move or he's going to bless or he's going to provide. That's not what he does. So make sure you share this with one person. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. There is more encouragement for you to get throughout the week. You may listen to the podcast one time. And I always make the podcast less than 30 minutes because me as a business owner, that's usually as much time I have to kind of casually listen to podcasts before I zone out and work on my next project or something else. So I try to keep that in mind when I record. But the newsletter is there whenever you need it. And it's a quick read. And to me, it has been super encouraging because, again, God has to do it in me first, and then I share it, and I just get overwhelmed with gratitude because I really love sharing the gospel with other people. Like, I'm so passionate about it that I think it just runs through my veins because I wish people had this encouragement and actually believe so they could see it moving and see God performing in their life and being right there with them as the partner that they will need for the rest of their life, right? And so make sure you share this. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter because you need that weekly encouragement. You need something to just grab when you don't feel like talking to anybody, but you can read it and kind of get that momentum going that you needed to perk up your week. If you need a business coach, if you need someone, I don't really call it business coaching, I call it a monthly accountability partnership because I'm not really here just to do all the work, but I'm here to hold you accountable and walk you through every single step. One on one, you will be working with me. So if you're interested in that, make sure you click the link in the description box. As always, I love every single one of you. I thank you so much for supporting the podcast and continuously listening and sharing it on your social media channels. We will be here, Lord willing, next week, sharing another great topic to make sure that you keep in mind your faith as you are succeeding and excelling in entrepreneurship and business.